This is Dance Studio 411, where we answer your real-life questions about your toughest studio life predicaments. Parent problems, teacher turnover, student challenges, policy dilemmas, and so much more. Let's talk about what's keeping you awake at night and what you can do about it. Here are your hosts, Suzanne Blake Garrity and Jill Tyrone.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of our Dance Studio 411 podcast. Today's episode is focusing on coming out of lockdown strong. And we're so excited to have our special guest today, Alison Jones from Dancewise Studios over in the UK. And for all our listeners, gosh, Alison and I go back over a decade. She has been a wonderful member of our dance studio and our community, as well as an inspiration to me. I always watch the wonderful things you're doing over there at your school. And so we thought, why not have an episode focused on, for a variety of our listeners who, wherever you are in the world, we've been navigating this openings and closings and shutdowns and reopenings so well, and we're tired of it, but we're ready to come out strong. So welcome, Alison, and I'm just so glad you're here.
I'm thrilled to be here. It's lovely.
Awesome. And so, for all of you listening, you can always go back to our show notes on our website, but I want to share a little bit about Alison's awesome background and let her share about her school too. So she is the CEO and founder of Dancewise Studios, the premier dance, performing arts, and fitness facility in the south of England, which she founded in 2005. In 2012, she became one of only 50 fully qualified and accredited street dance teachers in the UK, as well as being qualified to teach many other styles of dance with over 20 years of experience. Her teaching philosophies include: don't teach excellent classes, teach inspirational ones. And a teacher should always remain a student, and that we should, quote, teach children to love dance and the rest will come in time. Alison is a dance education expert writer, and she's been seen in a variety of online dance industry blogs and publications. And I am just so grateful for her energy, her spirit, and her creativity. So welcome, Alison.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Awesome. I know the listeners would love to hear a little bit about how your school is structured, and then we'll kind of get into the good tips and tricks you're going to share today.
Okay, so Dancewise exists to transform lives through passion and positivity. So everything we do in the studio is focused on that and around that and going through that lens. And the way we do that is intentionally kind of within the fabric of the curriculum for each of the programs that we teach, and then very much leaning towards the end of year show. And that's where we see the transformation in our students come to life. So that's kind of the rundown. It's passion, positivity in the classroom, and then leading to that transformation on stage at the end of year.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so great and what I really receive. I mean, if any of our listeners after this want to follow you on social media, you do a great job projecting the culture and the vibe that you bring to your students. And I think there's so much to learn from that it's more than dance classes. It's the whole experience. And I love that you're always bringing that out. So, you've experienced so much of this lockdown yourself. So maybe we could start off with your first tip on coming out of lockdown strong. I
think you've already said people are kind of tired of this now. And I think people that are with us now have chosen to be so. So, I think last year there was that feeling of, well, we've all started this season, so we've got to finish it. Whereas this year, we've all chosen to be back. So I feel like there's an element of needing to thank the students that have stayed with us, thank the families that have stayed loyal. So my first tip is to do something tangible for your students and for your team even for the first day they step back into that studio. So something small, something symbolic that shows that you're just thrilled that they're back in the studio and you're grateful for their loyalty. I would say that it needs to be something tangible, something they can keep, something they can touch for maximum impact. And then if you can tie that into your studio branding as well, that will just supersize the impact. So I'm thinking about things like, what's in your logo? Has your logo got, stars in it, for example? So what about a star-shaped keychain that's got an inspiring or grateful message on it? Maybe it's a charm for a charm bracelet, and then make it clear that when they graduate, you'll give them the bracelet for it to go on. And then you can add the charms for, hopefully no more lockdowns, but for other things that they achieve as we go through. And then think about the team as well. I've had a very direct conversation with my team this time last year, which was, we're all going to have to go the extra miles here, and we're all going to have to go above and beyond. And you're going to need to do that if you want a job at the end of this, not because of me, but because of the situation we find ourselves in. And therefore I thought, you know what, they need something, because they all did that. If they're still with you now, they all did that. So what can we do for our teams that show them how grateful we are, how much we appreciate the fact that they probably did more hours than they were paid for, and probably not the kind of hours they signed up for. And, you know, no one set out to be an online dance teacher, and suddenly we all are. So what can we do for them? So a lot of our branding is around the stars in our logo. So I was quite sneaky, I was quite covert. I contacted mums and dads and husbands and boyfriends to go, right, well, we've already got their date of birth. What time were they born and where were they born? And then we had a star chart produced for each of them that showed the night sky exactly as they would have seen it when they were born, in the location that they were born. And we just had a nice inscription on it. Under these stars, a Dancewise star was born, and thank you. So what can you do for your students and for your team that is something tangible and physical that they can touch, that they can keep, that shows them how grateful and how thankful you are that they stayed with you on this journey?
I love that. That's really special. I love, and I know that people listening might say, okay, cool, this is getting my ideas started. I know even at my own studio, we took time, if perhaps time is of the essence, you know, a simple handwritten note with the name of a dancer, you know, we think, oh, does it matter? But just a simple, hi, Alison, we're so glad you're back to the family, you know, people want to feel grateful. And, you know, sending letters in the mail or by post can feel expensive, but that extra 50 cents or whatever it costs to mail a letter is often the difference maker. And so perhaps if you have time to get everybody in a room, you know, you can write 100 letters if you have 10 people moving quickly. And it can be fun. You could have some wine or some coffee or tea and make it enjoyable. So those are great tips. Really show the gratitude. Like you said, people have stuck with this, and just the gratitude makes a difference. I love that. Okay. So once you've thanked them, you know, what else can you do to come out of this lockdown strong?
The place that certainly we're in the UK now is we're right on the edge of being able to hold in-person classes again, and everyone is excited and full of beans, and it's all just brilliant. And that's wonderful. But what that means is as soon as we're back in person, they then don't have that thing to look forward to anymore. So what can we intentionally be designing to give them the next thing to look forward to, and start building the hype and the excitement and the joy around it? For us, it's our guaranteed show experience. We've created a way that we know we're going to be able to deliver a show that's COVID proof. So we're gradually just releasing little teasers, little tastes, little tidbits of the different elements of that experience. So they've constantly got a nice drip of things to be excited about once they are back. Depending on different people's circumstances and locations, that kind of experience might not be possible, but could you do a student sleepover? Could you do a family talent contest? Could you do something really exciting that gives something back to your community? It doesn't actually matter what it is, but it matters that there is something there. And I would kind of like go blue skies, like what could we do that would make them more excited than they have felt since before COVID? I would say, if at all possible, try and give it an in-person element, because I think people are craving that physical, real connection, even if it's in a 2-meter box, even with a mask, even with hand sanitizer. People want people. So yeah, really thinking, okay, this is what we want it to be. And then rather than what we all had to do last year of, okay, this is the idea, oh, now we've got to pivot it, be going, and if this happens, then it's that. And if this happens, then it's that. So building an in-person, real, genuine connection experience in mind, and then simultaneously be going, and if we can't do that, we can do this. And if we can't do that, we can do this. So that would be my next tip. Something really, really exciting to replace that thing that they're looking forward to, which is currently, we get to go back to the studio soon.
Right. So I would call it plan A, B, C, and D, and E. So do you mean if you can't have perhaps a traditional performance, we all look forward to the days of theaters again and shows, even if it's in your 2-meter box in the studio, it gives someone an exciting thing to look forward to.
Right. And then if you can't give that theatre element, what can you do to add the excitement to that 2 meter box? So do they walk in on a red carpet to their 2 meter box? How can you add the magic and the experience that you couldn't do for them in a theatre? So, okay, we don't have the scale, we don't have the lights, we don't have all of those things. Well, then let's go, what can we have? Well, we have intimacy in a way that we wouldn't have in a theatre. What can we do around that that's special? Or maybe it's open air. Okay, what can we do around that that's special? So thinking, okay, these are the limitations that are in place. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here with dancers. As soon as we limit what we can do with our bodies, initially it feels horrible. And then we go, oh, wait, no, this is more creative. So then going, okay, well, with that limitation in mind, how can I be more creative, and using it as something to kind of open our minds to, oh my goodness, I never would have thought about that pre-COVID. And actually now that's so good that might stay part of this experience going forward.
Exactly. Well, now's a good time to give a shout out to our wonderful IDS friends, our International Dance Supply team, who are wonderful sponsors of this podcast, because they, of course, can't wait to see the magic of dance continue. Costumes, dancewear abound. And I just want to thank them. And I know many of our listeners are wonderful customers. And if you haven't checked them out, we'll link out in our show notes. And that kind of leads me to, here in the States, Alison, I don't know if it's the same for you, but we found that surprisingly parents were happy to purchase a costume for their dancer and almost have it be like the solo show performance. We thought, they're going to miss out on that feeling, at least around the holidays, of the group. And what you realize is parents just want to have something happy for their kids. And if that happy includes putting on a costume in a room, doing a solo of the dance, taking pictures, they'll never get back the year their child was 6 or 7 or 8. So I really want everyone listening to understand that you're creating magical moments for your families, even if it doesn't seem as highly produced or, as big crowd as it has been.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's all about thinking, what can we do? And with the difference that we definitely have this year, that doesn't have to be bad. That can just be different. So in our case, we would normally do a theatre show like most studios would. Well, we happen to have an ex-BBC employee on our team. So we're instead filming a dance movie. And okay, does that feel the same? No, but we can ship popcorn to their houses for them to watch it. We can do all sorts of other things with that we wouldn't have normally. Our dancers can come in and they can be packed as they're entering, which we wouldn't be able to do with a cast of a couple of hundred. We'll be able to give them something beautiful to take home with them on the way out, which you can't do when you're dealing with a couple of hundred. But when you're dealing with 5 or 6, well, actually, you can make every single child feel like a celebrity because you've got such a small number of them. So I think it really is going, okay, well, we can't do that. That means we must do this. And there must be something special in that too. And then it's just going, okay, we are all creative people by nature of what we do. So let's now apply that creativity to, okay, small number. What does that look like? How can we make that just as beautiful, even though it's different?
Exactly. I love that. Well, and that kind of leads us into, none of us wanted to have the down in enrollment numbers we had due to COVID, but I am here to say that you're not alone. Everywhere across the world, the dance industry has, unfortunately, because of these numbers and because of the pandemic, you're not alone. If you're listening to this, everyone's down, 30, 40, 50% of the numbers of students they used to have. And so our big goal now, once we turn out a beautiful, make it special for them experience, once we do get more vaccinations in place, is to build that enrollment. And I know you do a great job of this, and I bet you have some tips for our listeners.
Yeah, market. And if in doubt, probably market a bit more. So to make this super simple, I'm a fan of keeping things super simple. It's an ABC, so it's easy to remember as well. So the A is for actually market. A significant amount of studio owners don't. I think there's an element of kind of fear around self-promotion of like, well, I don't want to be saying how wonderful I think I am. And I would just challenge you to flip that on its head. Well, actually, who are you not to play big and to be open about the amazing things that you're doing? Because if you don't, you're not reaching those kids that need what you're doing. So you're not serving them by being modest. So be loud and proud and shout about what you're doing that's amazing. And then I think the other half of that is not being entirely clear on what marketing actually entails. So for me, certainly, it's a very strategic plan for consistently enrolling new students whenever you want them. And it isn't spending the afternoon designing pretty pictures in Canva, which, hands up, is one of my favorite things to do. Yep. But it's not really marketing, not in that strategic, this is how many students I'm going to get from this way. It's important to have those images to be able to use as you need them as part of a strategy. So A of ABC is actually market. Be bold enough to shout from the rooftops what you're doing and be strategic in what that's actually going to involve. And then that leads me on to the B for be bold.
I love that.
You are a remarkable studio owner if you're listening to this podcast, and you are the only one who does things exactly how you do them. You are the only one who does things exactly how you do them. So shout it loud and proud from the rooftops. And I would also say, this is slightly controversial, which I'm not going to apologise for. Extra points if you're going to polarize people. So this is what we do, this is who we are, this is what we can give you, and this is what we're not. So as an example, in the UK, dance exams are a massive thing, and we made the decision a couple of years ago that they just weren't the right fit for us. There's nothing wrong with them. I've grown up doing them my whole life, but we felt that as a studio, it wasn't right for us. And we've really leaned into that in our marketing. We do not do exams. We are not for you if you are looking for dance exams. And that can feel really confronting. It's like, oh, we need as many enrollments as we can. Get them in. No, because the minute you start being very bold about who you are and who you're not, you'll attract those people that never wanted that thing to start with. And you'll tell those that don't, who are going to be a pain in your neck because they're going to be, well, why can't she do an exam? And can't you just do one? And all of those things. But also thinking about our beautiful dance community as a whole, you're also freeing them up to go to the studio that can give them exactly what they want. So you get just people who love you and what you're doing, and you get to pass around your community to neighbouring studios, people that are exactly right for them. So be bold, trust in the fact that you're remarkable and unique, and then be really, really bold with who you are and who you're not. And know that that is going to get you more enrollments, not fewer.
I love that. It's so good. Yes, keep going.
Well, then we're into C, which is consistent. Keep showing up. This is the key. So I would say look into an inexpensive piece of automation software. So for example, we use Meet Edgar, but there's loads, just to ensure that your Facebook page has got a consistent stream of quality content that your followers will enjoy engaging with. And this isn't sell, enroll. I would say absolute maximum of 1 sales post to 10 value, engagement, community. Give way more than you receive. But what that's going to do for you is, A, you don't have to sit there and do it because the software will do it for you and they're not expensive. But what it will also do is show that the people that are starting to be interested is that you're consistent, you're reliable, you're professional. This is what you do. If you say you're going to turn up, you're going to turn up. And that, I don't know about anyone else listening to this, but is immediately the kind of business that I think I want to deal with them. I want to deal with someone that if they say they're going to deliver this, they are. And you can show that in a very easy way by just having, a quote go out every Monday and a testimonial go out every Thursday, and you can automate that stuff. You don't need to reinvent the wheel.
The automation piece is so key, and we get so hung up on it like this is the stuff to automate and be consistent about, because you're in bed sleeping, but your potential customers are lurking on your social media, even though you don't necessarily know that they are. And they're like, oh, these people put out really fun stuff. So I love that. All right, keep going.
Okay. The next thing I think that's important about the consistency is when people do contact your studio, do you have a well thought out plan of exactly what happens next? And next and next and next and next and next until they either enroll, unsubscribe, or die. You need to know what is going to happen to those people. So we're in a peak intake period right now, and we're getting enrollments now from people who inquired months or even years ago because we've just been loving on them that whole time. And I would just encourage you to understand that no doesn't mean no, it means not now. And that might be nothing to do with your studio. You know, the class they want to go to might clash with something else, or they might have just been furloughed, or maybe they've just had a big repair on the car. And either way, that inquiry that was genuine just is on the back burner for now. And what we need to do is keep loving on those people that whole time until the no becomes, actually, no, it could be right for right now. So what is going to happen? They're going to contact you and hopefully they'll enroll, but probably the greater percentage won't, because that's the nature of conversion. What's going to happen to them? And then the third piece, and this is where a lot of people jump straight to because it's the fun bit and it's the sexy bit and it's the exciting bit, is advertise. But don't do that until you know how you're going to catch all of the lovely people that you're going to get. And you want to be advertising where they are, obviously. For us, that tends to be Facebook, but you know where your followers are lurking. And then it's just a case of, can you create something that's really eye-catching with some compelling copy and beautiful imagery? That's where your moment in Canva does come in. And then even with a small daily budget, you'll be doing more marketing consistently than 90% of studio owners, I would say. And then step 4 is make sure you do step 1 and 2 before you jump to 3. Don't just jump to advertising if you haven't got some structure, some kind of safety net to catch those others and keep loving on them.
Brilliant. You just gave the full dance studio magical marketing formula in less than a half an hour, which, listening to this, some people might say, well, gosh, I don't even know where to begin. And, that's where, we've been a global resource for studio owners since 2008 when I started this website. And I said, gosh, am I the only mom with a baby and a toddler running around? And I said, how will I ever do this business if I can't, and I said, we'll just connect on the internet. And I think that the community we've created of studio owners is very generous in sharing ideas. And that's why I love, you've always been that for our members, Alison, and our listeners and our readers. And I mean, if those of you listening want to learn more about DanceStudiocom, it's certainly linked in our show. And certainly we have a global community of studio owners from the UK, from Canada, from the US, I mean, all over. And what we know for sure, I know that you and I have talked about this, is that what keeps us connected is that we all need students. No matter where you're located, students are going to come and students are going to go. And we have to have that system in place so that we don't burn ourselves out. Because gosh, how many of you listening, you're like, I've never worked so hard in my entire life through this COVID situation. You're tired. You're exhausted. We didn't know we had to ever know about sanitizing floors at this level, who knew, right? And so you're exhausted. So the thought of putting out all this marketing can be like, oh, what do I do now? And so I think, you have to remember that if you don't take care of you, none of this matters. So, Alison, you do all of this work, and I know you have a team, and some people listening are a one-woman or a one-man show. What's some of the, and these are like the secret tips, but what do you do to stay from being burned out?
Oh, that's such a great question. And the first thing I would say is to say, what do you need? As we went into this crazy Corona coaster, I do have a team and I'm so thankful for them. They're absolute gems. And one of my team is actually my husband. So he wears 2 hats. And although I have that wonderful team around me, that decision to press go on a virtual studio, and we went go a week before we were mandated to do so. So it felt really risky to do that, even though it felt like the right thing. And, we'd done the first day, we'd pressed go. I happened to be the first teacher that had to run the virtual classes just because of how it fell in the timetable. I had a stinking headache, and Tom said to me, right, what do you want for dinner? And I said, I want to make no more decisions today. And he produced Domino's, and it was perfect. It was what I needed. Other pizza chains, I'm sure, are available. Yes. That's what I needed in that moment, was not to make any more decisions, even if it was at home. And I don't want to think about what we're going to do with it. You think about that. I've just thought about all of this. And then kind of come October time, I realized that I was slipping back into that burnout. And I was like, okay, I don't know how we're going to afford it, but we need a cleaner, because I'm one of those people that if my space is cluttered and it affects my brain like nothing else, I need a clear space to have a clear head. So in March last year, it was, I need pizza. In October last year, it was, I need a cleaner. So I would say, think about what you need. And that might be, an intern that can do some social media images for you, but it might be a cleaner, or it might be a takeout, or it might be any number of things. But what do you need? And then the other thing I would say, and I'm sure I'm not alone here, is the thing that took a backseat while I was being this studio superwoman to save my studio, as we all were, was how I was taking care of myself. So I would also say, and this is, full disclosure, only since January have I been achieving this, is, are you getting enough exercise? Are you sleeping properly? Are you drinking enough water? Are you having 80% really nutritious fuel for your body and then 20% of stuff that's really nice treats? Are you looking after the whole of you? Because the more, and it feels so counterintuitive to spend time doing a workout and cook a healthy meal because you've got so much else to do. Right. But actually, if we don't prioritize those things, we're not in a good headspace to do those things, and we'll, get burnt out and we'll be exhausted and what have you. So yeah, what do you need, whether that's at home or at the studio? And are you taking care of yourself, even though that can feel selfish and like not necessarily the best use of time? Because if you're taking care of yourself, then you're giving yourself the best version of you to do all of this stuff that you need to try and achieve to keep everything kind of balanced and no, never mind balanced, moving forward, escalating, getting better, building back stronger.
Brilliant advice. And same, we hold the weight of our dance schools and studios on our shoulder, and it can feel like everybody needs us every minute of the day. But personally speaking to build on that burnout, I've given myself permission to put my phone into airplane mode at night so that because you'll get the message from the parents on your Facebook Messenger at 2 a.m. and you'll wake up and you'll check your phone and you can't go back to sleep, and sleep, for me, the sleep is the thing. And so, true story, one time I put my phone in airplane mode and we had a burglarize our studio in the middle of the night. It was like, what was I to do? The police will be there. Really, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? But if I wasn't rested, I'm not good for anything. So if you're listening to this, take a nap, get a meditation in, eat some good food, and know that you're not alone. Well, I am so grateful for your time today, Alison. I mean, we would love to have you back. You have so much great advice. And I know that everyone listening is ready to build back stronger, to come out of this lockdown stronger. And we just really appreciate your time. And is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I'm just so grateful for you, Suzanne, for the whole community. What has surprised me and delighted me the most, that in an industry that's got a bit of a reputation for being competitive and sometimes a bit bitchy and whatever, the dance industry went, do you know what? When it's about the important stuff within dance, yeah, we can be competitive and everyone wants to like go hard or go home. But actually, when it really matters, I saw people sharing video content that like, oh, we've got a ballet class you can have, just use that. And oh, this is how we've built it. And this is what our Google Drive looks like for this. And just going, do you know what? Everyone, I think, wants to be certainly the best version of their studio that they can be. But actually in this, certainly my goal, and I think yours and everyone in this beautiful community that you've built, our goal was to get the whole dance studio industry across the line, not just our own. And I think that is inspiring and a credit to you and all your members, that more so than just saving our own studio, we wanted to save our industry. And I do feel that we've done that, so pats on the back all round, gang. But also that we've had to chop out some of the stuff that wasn't serving us. Okay, no, we're not going to do this anymore. Why? COVID. We're not going to do this anymore. What? COVID. Like, COVID has been the best excuse ever to trim any fat out of your studio that you never wanted there to start with. And you can blame it on COVID. So you can, take this as your permission to put your prices up, get rid of any programs you don't like, stop doing the events you don't like. You can blame it all on COVID and you'll get an extraordinary amount of grace from your families because COVID, and have the studio that you always wanted it to be, because you've flipping earned it. At the end of this year, you've earned a studio that you love exactly as it is. So I feel that this whole community has not only survived and weathered the storm, but actually we've got leaner studios now that are more aligned to what we really saw that we wanted. It's been stressful for sure, but actually that's a huge thing to be grateful for, that we've had this. It's been like a hard reset. Okay, what's the most important thing? The dance classes. The dance class is the most important thing. We've got to do that. Anything else can, circle around for now. As a community, we've saved ourselves, we've saved each other, and we've come up with something that is actually probably better than it was when we went into it, which is remarkable.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Alison. And for everyone listening, we hope this helped you keep your passion for dance alive as you grow your business. And check out other episodes at DanceStudio411.com. Thanks, Alison.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Dance Studio 411. Visit us online at DanceStudio411.com for more great resources and to submit a question for a future episode. Our number one goal is to help you build a successful dance studio business and keep your passion for dance alive.